Billionaire left a $0 tip. What the single mom waitress found under his plate changed everything. The bell above the diner door jingled weakly as another customer walked out into the gray afternoon, and for a moment, the sound felt heavier than it should have, like it was ringing inside her chest instead of the room. The air smelled of fried onions and burnt coffee, and exhaustion clung to her skin the way grease clung to the counters. She had balanced too many plates, smiled through too much pain, and counted too many coins that never seemed to add up. When she reached the table where the man in the expensive suit had just been sitting, her heart sank before she even looked down. The receipt lay there, folded neatly. The tip line was empty. Zero. Nothing. In that moment, it felt like the world had confirmed what life had been whispering to her for years, that no matter how hard she tried, kindness rarely came back. Before the story continues, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the idea that one small moment can change a life forever, please take a second to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope today, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps keep stories like this alive. She was a single mother in her late 20s, though the tired lines under her eyes made her look older. Her uniform apron was faded from too many washes, and the red shirt beneath it had seen better days. On her hip sat her toddler, clinging quietly, used to long shifts and short naps in diner booths. Life had not turned out the way she once imagined. She had dreamed of college, of stability, of a home where the lights never flickered because a bill was overdue. Instead, she worked double shifts at a small-town diner, counting tips at night and praying they would be enough to buy diapers, milk, and maybe a small treat to make her child smile. The man who had just left stood out the moment he walked in. His suit was perfectly pressed, his shoes polished, his posture confident in a way that spoke of power and money. Other customers glanced at him with curiosity, sensing he didn't belong to this worn-down place with cracked vinyl seats and chipped mugs. She had served him with the same care she gave everyone else. She refilled his coffee before he asked, wiped the table clean, and smiled even when her feet ached. She didn't know who he was, only that he carried himself like someone used to being important. When he paid and walked away without a word, she felt the familiar sting of disappointment. Zero tips weren't new, but they always hurt. Each one felt personal, like a silent judgment on her worth. She stared at the receipt for a second longer than necessary, swallowing the lump in her throat. That money could have meant a warm dinner or gas to get through the week. Instead, it meant another night of careful budgeting and silent worry. As she reached to clear the table, something caught her eye beneath the plate. At first, she thought it was just another crumpled napkin or a stain on the table. Then she noticed the edge of an envelope, slightly tucked under the plate, almost hidden. Her fingers hesitated. People didn't leave envelopes, especially not people who left zero tips. Her heart beat faster as she slid the plate aside. The envelope was plain, white, with no name written on it. Inside was not money at first glance, but a folded piece of paper. For a brief moment, she felt foolish for expecting anything else. Maybe it was a complaint. Maybe it was nothing. But as she unfolded it, her breath caught. The words written there weren't long or fancy. They were simple, deliberate, and heavy with meaning. The note spoke of struggle, of unseen battles, of how people often judge without knowing the story. It said he had once been poor, invisible, and desperate, sitting in places just like this, wondering if life would ever give him a chance. Beneath the note was something that made her hands shake, numbers, signatures, and instructions that pointed to a reality she could barely comprehend. Tucked behind the paper was a check, its amount more than she made in an entire year. Enough to clear her debts. Enough to breathe again. Enough to change everything. Her vision blurred as tears welled up. She clutched the envelope to her chest, feeling the weight of it press against her heart. Around her, the diner continued as usual, plates clinking, people chatting, the hum of ordinary life, but for her, time had stopped. In one quiet, hidden moment, the world had shifted. She later learned who the man was. A billionaire known for his sharp business instincts and guarded personality. To the public, he was distant, calculating, even cold. But beneath that image was someone who remembered what it felt like to be overlooked. Someone who understood that dignity mattered more than spectacle. He didn't leave a tip on the table because he didn't want applause. He wanted to see if she would notice what was hidden, just like the strength and resilience she carried every day without anyone noticing. That envelope didn't just bring money. It brought validation. It told her that her struggle mattered. That her effort was seen, even when it felt invisible. In the days that followed, she cried more than she had in years, not from fear, but from relief. She paid off bills that had haunted her nights. She fixed her car so it wouldn't stall on the way to work. She bought her child new clothes, watching their face light up with a joy she hadn't been able to give in so long. But the biggest change wasn't financial. It was internal. She stood a little taller. She smiled more freely. She began to believe that life wasn't just a series of losses to endure, but a story still being written. She enrolled in evening classes, something she had always told herself was impossible. She dreamed again, not recklessly, but with cautious hope. Months later, the diner was still the same. The booths were still worn, the coffee still bitter. But she wasn't the same person. She served customers with a deeper compassion, knowing how much a small act could mean. Sometimes she slipped extra fries onto a plate or listened a little longer to someone who looked lonely. She had learned that kindness didn't always come back immediately, but when it did, it could arrive quietly, hidden under the weight of an ordinary plate. Just before this story ends, take a moment to comment below. Do you believe kindness should be loud, or is it most powerful when it's silent? Your thoughts matter more than you know. Near the end of her shift one evening, she caught her reflection in the diner window. A young woman holding her child, tired but hopeful. For the first time in a long while, she didn't see someone defeated by life. She saw someone who had survived it. Someone who had been given a chance and chose to turn it into a future. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you that you never truly know what someone is carrying, please like this video, share it with others, and subscribe to the channel. Your engagement helps spread stories of hope, humanity, and quiet miracles. Sometimes, everything changes not because of what's left on the table, but because of what's hidden beneath it.